Punk. Noun. A worthless person, often used as a general term of abuse. When I tell people that I still listen to punk rock music, they inevitably respond with something like,
"Isn't that for angsty teenagers?"
Or,
"You know punk isn't good, right?"
Yeah, that's the point. It's also not the point at all. People that say that punk isn't good clearly haven't listened to enough punk, or have listened to too much punk and they've determined that they need a more pretentious genre to permanently attach their personality to. Punk isn't just one thing that can be boiled down to a dismissive statement like, punk isn't good. Yeah, sure, some punk is worthless. Some of it is the worst stuff in the world. But when it's good, when it connects, it's everything. It's the best thing on earth. It has everything from tough guys to dorks to sad boys to emo girls to badasses and wimps. Punk rock is diverse by nature and doesn't pretend to be good music. Instead, it tries to communicate ideas in an authentic way through music. It has more in common with YouTube than it does with the music industry, for Christ's sake. If you let one band lead you to another band, you'll see that the genre allows for beautiful songwriting, meaningful connections, and captivating stories. I can't think of a better place to start than with my favorite band in middle school, The Cramps. Just kidding. It was clearly Blink-182. The year is 1999 and a bunch of naked dudes are running across my TV screen complaining about how nobody likes you when you're 23. They had these voices that sounded like they hadn't blown their nose since the 80s. And I loved it. The song was much faster than anything else on MTV at the time. They kind of had like this Green Day vibe, but in their interviews, instead of being all like, "I'm angry all the time" or whatever, they were more like, "Piss, shit, dicks, and butts, vagina time, baby dude." And I was 13 like, holy crap, these guys are out here talking about dicks and butts? I love talking about dicks and butts. How much for the Dicks and Butts CD? But 6 months pass and Blink-182 become the lamest thing on planet Earth when they start appearing on all the teeny bopper magazine covers. Now, it's great that they were finding success or whatever, but I found that to be the lamest thing that could possibly exist, and I needed that fast music, I needed that aggression, I needed that attitude, but without any of that cringy bullshit. And out came Rancid, and they were all like, "We have mohawks and liberty spikes, face tattoos, leather jackets, plaid pants, and songs about being a punk in California. We have the voices that only cough syrup can light." They looked and sounded exactly what you think of when you hear the word punk. And they were together for about a decade before I discovered them, but when I did, a whole new world opened up to me. Their album And Out Come the Wolves is one of the tightest, most well-written pop-punk albums that I have ever heard. Meanwhile, their self-titled release in 2000 is one of the most aggressive and urgent records that I have ever heard. The first 5 Rancid LPs are very, very special to me, and every single one of them is a desert island pick. TRL was a show on MTV in the early 2000s, and it was huge. Total Request Live or whatever. The audience voted on the videos they wanted to see, and the artists would come on to perform their songs and stuff. And let me be perfectly clear here, I did not like TRL. The host, Carson Daly, was busy playing Good Charlotte videos as my peers jumped up and down mindlessly, while I was learning about Minor Threat through NoFX. I was hearing about the awe-inspiring legends of bands like Black Flag and The Descendants. Stories about the iconic venues like CBGB's and Gilman Street were endlessly enthralling. I couldn't get enough, man. I was lucky enough to have a healthy scene in my hometown, so starting a band or 12 was no big ask. None of the bands were any good, of course, and that didn't matter because punk isn't good. What originally started as an innocent need to scream about dicks and butts turned into the most fulfilling part of my life. The songs I was hearing were good. The people making those songs were making them with tremendous care, and I think that's good. The form punk takes changes from decade to decade, but the ideas and the influence of punk rock will exist in this world until the planet explodes. If you look up the definition to punk on Google, the first thing it says after the music genre is this: punk, noun, a worthless person, often used as a general term of abuse. And after everything I've experienced, I think it's safe to say, punk isn't punk.